Ever fancied smelling like a musty old cabinet? Today's fragrance might be just the thing for you. Hello, welcome back to Seldom Layoff, and I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of a Jovoy Psychedelique. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears and main situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't really feel that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Some of you guys have been requesting this for quite a bit, and today is the first episode where we talk about the house of Jovoy. Specifically, we are going to cover probably their most popular fragrance, Psychedelique. This is a deep, dark patchouli scent with a strong tendency to mustiness. It's beautiful, it's dense, it's potent. It's really enveloping and comforting in a way, and it might be your perfect partner for these upcoming colder months. Before we talk about Psychedelique and my experience with the fragrance, I quickly want to touch upon my experience with the house of Jovoy. Or maybe you say Jovoy. I really haven't found a definite answer to that. But in any case, I do not have much experience with this house. I've heard about it quite a lot. And the reason why I've been really slow to acquiring bottles from the house is strictly due to the fact that these are incredibly difficult to come by in Switzerland. They might ship from France, but shipping from France or from any other EU nation into Switzerland is a giant pain in the ass. You often have to pay taxes, a lot of import duties. It's just overall not worth it. So yeah, I didn't really feel like tainting that image that I have of the house with the import taxes, with the duties, and all that trouble. As you might suspect from the giant dent in this bottle, I got this pretty much in this state from a trade. I have worn it a lot. I really do like this scent profile. It's very, very unique. And this bottle has really piqued my interest in the rest of the house. Some of the other fragrances from the house that are on my short list include Fire at Will, which is assumingly a beautiful caramelly gourmand. Then we have 21 Conduit Street, which apparently really resembles Burlington from Roja. Then we have Private Label, which is perfumed by Cécile Zarokian. It's supposed to be a Chypre leather fragrance, according to my knowledge. So yes, I'm definitely intrigued by the house. I do plan on getting more of these, and maybe I'll do that once I travel abroad, maybe either to France or to Italy, where I am within the EU, and I can order a couple of these. But back to Psychedelique. As I mentioned, I got this in a trade. It wasn't necessarily my first choice, but I thought it would be cool to have, and I actually really like patchouli, but I really wasn't expecting something like this. I definitely have other patchouli fragrances in my wardrobe. I've had very specific patchouli fragrances, namely Paris Montecarlo Patchouli Nosy B. That was a beautiful, chocolatey, very sweet type of patchouli. This one here is definitely different from that one there, although being pretty much a pure patchouli scent. If you know anything about patchouli, you might recall that it's a very popular smell, usually associated with hippies from the 60s or 70s. And if the name doesn't give it away, psychedelique, this sort of hints at that atmosphere and that sort of vibe. And in my intro, I mentioned that this fragrance might be exactly what you're looking for if you really want to smell like a musty, moldy old cabinet, because it kind of has facets of that. Now, as I usually say, my descriptions don't sound the most appealing right away, but I assure you that there's something really romantic, there's something really comforting about this scent that makes it a beautiful, relaxing homeware scent. It makes it really beautiful for like solo walks in the woods, but at the same time, this retains a level of wearability that increases its versatility to the point where it would not feel completely out of place even in an office setting. But as usual, before talking about the scent profile, let's touch upon the presentation of this bottle. Jovoy's excellent presentation is often mentioned in most reviews, not only because their bottle has a very distinct type of style, but they have a very high quality feeling overall, especially given the price. And once you pick a bottle up, first of all, you're surprised by the weight of the thing. This thing is hefty. You could probably beat someone down with this bottle and have it be intact at the end of the feet. The glass in this is surprisingly smooth and very transparent, to a degree which is unusual, especially for the price range. One of the cool, iconic aspects of this presentation is that I feel that the bottle is meant to be sitting on the shelf in a vertical format like this, and that is sort of suggested by the labeling. Coming from a person that has a lot of bottles, I think that this is a very cool feature, and it really saves space on the shelf, and it allows you still to read the label perfectly. Speaking of the labels, I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed in the labeling quality. These are good quality stickers, but they feel badly stuck on. It feels like you could easily peel them off. They're not really stuck on straight, and they even have like a little bit of glue residue around the edges that catches like dust and lint. Another weird thing about the stickers, and it might have to do with the fact that they're so shiny, is that it almost feels like there's like bubbles under them. It might be the slight imperfections in the glass. It might be like the slight ondulation in the glass. But the sticker really reflects light in a not homogeneous way. It feels crooked, it feels kind of like bumpy and bubbly. I don't know if this is just my bottle, I don't know if this is an isolated case, but yeah, definitely the labeling could be way better. The cap is a beautiful heavy metal cap, very stylish, very iconic. It fits on by friction, or rather, wannabe friction, because the cap is extremely loose. If I were to flip the bottle upside down, the cap would probably fall off. It's obviously not a big deal. The bottle itself is designed to be sitting straight up. It's not like you're gonna be waving the thing around, beating someone down with it, right? The exceptional finish of the glass and the cap comes with a massive drawback, to me at least. And you know where I'm going with this. This bottle is a fingerprint nightmare. Every time I pick up the bottle and spray it, I get really upset and really bothered by all the fingerprints that are left on it. And I'm speaking to the fragrance and bottle manufacturers right now. I don't know if there's a real solution to this. Maybe you could coat the bottles in those like oleophobic coatings that smartphone glasses come with. Personally, I think it would be cool, but maybe it's just my problem. Maybe I'm just being weird about it. Even the boxes these bottles come in are very well made, very hard cardboard. They just feel like quality packaging overall. Yeah, Jovoy hit it on the head with the packaging. There's absolutely nothing to complain about. Very high quality, especially for the price. This is almost one of the new benchmarks in my opinion. I forgot to talk about the atomizer, but we'll use this occasion as a segue into the scent profile. The atomizer is pretty good. Let's give it a couple sprays. And yeah, I wore this as my scent of the day at the office. No one batted an eye, but it's very, very potent and very, very noticeable. So the scent profile for Psychedelique, what about this musty cabinet? What about this sort of a moldy, damp sweater? Yes, this is a patchouli scent. As I mentioned in the start, it's very, very strong and very, very prominent. And if you do not like patchouli, this will not be the fragrance that will change your mind. Psychedelique initially comes across as a very straightforward, simple fragrance. And this is not due to the fact that it's one ingredient forward much. It's mainly due to the fact that supporting ingredients actually aid the patchouli imaging of this fragrance. And what I mean is, for example, that the citrus notes that are on the top, they don't really come across as citrusy at all. They're just sort of there to aid the imaging of this patchouli note, of this mustiness. And the acidity note of these citruses really transforms into your brain because it really blends in with the patchouli to give you this kind of a moldy feeling, kind of a very damp, earthy, moldy smell. And the same thing applies to the other ingredients in the mid-tone. Apparently, this fragrance has rose in it, but you really don't smell rose distinctly. Or rather, if you sit there with the note pyramid in front of you and you get your nose into the fragrance, yes, then you might be able to pick out the actual ingredients. You can pick out the citruses, you can pick out the rose, but overall, as a feeling, they don't really emerge. This is definitely not a rose fragrance. This is definitely not a citrusy fragrance. I feel that this aspect is really, really cool about this fragrance. It sort of reminds me of Amouage Boundless, where the fragrance itself would come across as very smooth, very enveloping, and almost mass appealing, but getting your nose in there, you could easily pick out the various nuances. You could pick out the cumin, you could pick out the spices, and this one too has a lot of facets to it. The more you wear it, the more you sort of get comfortable with it, and the more you can appreciate the subtle complexity that is in the scent. So back to me talking about why this fragrance is deceivingly simple. This scent has pretty much two stages in it. It has the opening stage, which is very musty, very kind of moldy. It's bright in a way, it's very green. It has this really damp, earthy type of feeling. And actually, one of the best reviews that I've read about this scent said that this smells like you wore a sweater to a concert when it was raining, you forgot the sweater in the car for like a couple weeks, and then you go back there and you have this very musty, kind of like rancid type of smell. And yes, the opening of this fragrance has definitely some of that edginess. It does feel like a dirty, dusty old cabinet. It kind of gives me the idea of what Harry Potter's Under the Stairs room would smell like. Very musty and dusty, a place where there's not much air circulation. That being said, the opening has also a very beautiful enveloping factor to it. There's something very homey about it. There's something really comforting about it. I don't know exactly what it is. It might be leveraging some sort of imaginary collective. It might be triggering memories of grandma, grandma's house, grandma's sofa. I'm not really sure. All I know is that the scent is remarkably smooth in the opening. And actually in the air itself doesn't come across as moldy or musty at all. The other distinct phase of this scent is definitely the dry down. Here, all those musty notes, those acidic notes leave and give space to vanilla, which combined with the patchouli gives a beautifully earthy, chocolatey type of flavor. In this phase, the fragrance is a beautiful, dry, almost gourmand fragrance. It has this really beautiful, earthy type of feeling. It feels like a homemade cake, like one of those rustic, really whole grain type of cakes. It's beautiful and it really fills a room with this incredible scent trail. Speaking of scent trail, this is a very potent fragrance, both in the way it radiates and in longevity. As soon as you spray it, basically you're filling rooms here. It's massive, it's beautiful, and almost overwhelming to a degree. You definitely have to go easy with the sprays, especially in the beginning. After about an hour, the sillage significantly tones down. The scent basically enters its mid-dry down to dry down phase, where the projection stays pretty much the same throughout the remaining wear. Only in the very deep dry down, the scent becomes almost like a skin scent, and it's still very beautiful, still very detectable, but the beautiful vanilla notes really blend in with the skin chemistry and give it a nice warm feeling. Let's talk practicalities, because on one side, I do feel that this is pretty versatile. On the other side, its potency and its directness don't really make it suitable for everyday wear. I feel that the versatility of this fragrance is aided by the massive dynamic range it has. It has bright tops with those acidic notes, and it has deep rumbling bass with those vanillas. It's beautiful and can be sort of worn in many situations. I've worn this to the office, as I said. I didn't really get any nasty looks. I think that this is a very sexy, alluring type of fragrance, very unisex. It does lean a little bit heavy, so you might want to keep this for those colder months. Maybe it has to do with the fact that it recalls a sweater, maybe it recalls like velvet curtains, or just like really thick curtains. But yeah, I can't really see myself wearing this in the summer, although I have. Use case wise, if you go easy on the sprays, this could almost be a daily, it could almost be a signature scent. And if you want to ramp it up similarly to the Arôme Parfum, which I talked about in the last episode, you can spray a little bit more in the evening for those special events and really to stand out. I can't really comment on age. This is a very specific type of fragrance. It's almost artistic leaning. You have to be definitely into niche perfumery. You have to be definitely into patchouli to appreciate this. But hey, if you're at that stage and you're 17, by all means, this is an absolutely banger of a fragrance. Overall, for me, Psychedelique has been a beautiful introduction to the house of Jovoy. Its massive longevity will basically mean that when you spray this fragrance, you'll have it on all day, you'll be smelling all day like this, and ending down in that beautiful vanilla note. This is objectively a very exciting fragrance, and if you like patchouli, I almost feel that this would be blind buy safe, because at the very least, you'll be blown away by the potency and by the fine nuances that you can get in the scent. Yup, Jovoy gets a thumbs up from me. I can definitely recommend Psychedelique, and I can't wait to smell more from the house. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. As per usual, see you in the next video. Many more videos to come, many more reviews to come. See ya and cheers.